President Obama submitted costly new electricity regulations as the cornerstone of his agreement at the Paris UN Climate Conference last December. These severe measures will adversely affect our economy and have no significant impact on global temperatures. In Paris, the President pledged that the United States will cut its greenhouse gas emissions by as much as 28% over the next decade and by 80% or more by 2050. Moreover, the President's pledge creates an international agreement that binds the United States for decades to come, but lacks constitutional legitimacy since it has not been ratified by the Senate. The agreement not only requires the U.S. to reduce carbon emissions, but also compels our country to pay billions of dollars to developing nations to reduce their carbon emissions. Furthermore, even if all 196 countries continue their promised reductions for each year after 2031 until 2100, it will only reduce temperatures by 1/6 of a degree Celsius. The so-called Clean Power Plan will cost billions of dollars, cause financial hardship for American families, and diminish the competitiveness of American employers, all with no significant benefit to climate change. The U.S. pledge to the UN is estimated to prevent only 1/50th of 1 degree Celsius temperature rise over the next 85 years. EPA's own data shows that this regulation would reduce sea level rise by only 1/100th of an inch, the thickness of 3 sheets of paper. The President's power plan is nothing more than a power grab. A majority of Congress disapproved of the Clean Power Plan through the Congressional Review Act, and the governors of most states are challenging the rule in court. Meanwhile, the President attempts to justify his actions with scare tactics, worst-case scenarios, and biased data. An example of how this administration promotes its suspect climate agenda can be seen at the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration. Its employees altered historical climate data to get politically correct results in an attempt to disprove the 18-year lack of global temperature increases. NOAA conveniently issued its news release that promotes this report just as the administration announced its extensive climate change regulations. NOAA has refused to explain its findings and provide documents to this committee and the American people. The people have a right to see the data, evaluate it, and know the motivations behind this study. Last week, over 300 respected scientists and experts, which include a Nobel Prize winner, members of the National Academy of Sciences, and former astronauts, sent this committee a letter that expressed concern over NOAA's efforts to alter historical temperature data. They agree that the issue deserves serious scrutiny. This administration continually impedes congressional oversight of its extreme climate agenda. Rightfully, Americans should be suspicious. Furthermore, statements by President Obama and others that attempt to link extreme weather events to climate change are unfounded. The lack of evidence is clear: no increased tornadoes, no increased hurricanes, no increased droughts or floods. For instance, the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change found that there is, quote, low confidence on a global scale, end quote, that drought has increased in intensity or duration. The same lack of evidence can be found in the IPCC reports for almost every type of extreme weather. The administration's alarmism and exaggeration is not good science and intentionally misleads the American people. Congress has repeatedly rejected the President's extreme climate agenda. Now the administration attempts to create the laws on its own and has packaged all these regulations and promised their implementation to the UN. The President's Paris pledge will increase electricity cost, ration energy, and slow economic growth. It ignores good science and only seeks to advance a partisan political agenda. The President should present his Paris climate change agreement to Congress. He won't because he knows neither the Senate nor the House would approve it. As we will hear today, the President's UN climate pledge is a bad deal for the American economy, the American people, and would produce no substantive environmental benefits. That concludes my opening statement, and the ranking member, the gentlewoman from Texas, Eddie Bernice Johnson, is recognized for hers.